Welcome, everybody. Episode 2 of the Do the Move podcast. My name's Chad. You don't give a fuck about me, but everybody else, introduce yourselves.
Hey, what's up, everyone? I'm John, or Jay That King on Instagram. I'm the AV guy. I do all the editing, all the videos. I say some stuff occasionally.
I'm Tyler. I'm friends with a couple of these guys. Some of them I just met. I was just invited, so I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know what they're going to ask me to say, if anything. I'm just here to talk about wrestling with some cool dudes. But Jay Thy King and Sean Haber over there are two of my best friends for probably 7, 8, maybe 9 years now. So I'm really excited to be in the Zoom with them because I moved away years ago to California and they're in Chicago. So let's talk some wrestling, boys.
I'm Sean, friends with some of these goons, met a lot of them Sunday at Forbidden Door. I'm here to talk wrestling as well. I don't have a hell of a lot of time, unfortunately, because I'm on my lunch break and I look like shit. But yeah, glad to be here and do the move.
Hi, everybody. I'm George, the last real G. Glad to be a part of this podcast. Not my first podcast, oddly enough. I actually have hosted 2 podcasts in the past, not wrestling related, but I've got some experience here. I'm glad to bring it here and help out with everything. And hopefully we can all make this a big success and, obviously do the move.
You already know what time it is. This is Rich Like the Money. What's up, y'all? Excited to talk all things wrestling today. Had an epic Forbidden Door live. If you didn't know, I'm a fan of Kazushi Okada. Okada. But yeah, excited to be with a bunch of great dudes over here and talk everything wrestling. So do the move.
Yo, Bobby's in the house. Here I am. I am here to give my thoughts on this crazy weekend on wrestling. Man, we have a lot to talk about, boys. Let me go ahead and pass this over to my chef here, Joey D.
Thank you, Roberto. This is Joey here, fellow chef, natural heel, here to spread the controversy, usually with Brian. So, Brian, I'll pass it to you, sir.
Well, from one person who's a negative Nancy about wrestling to a man who's positive Patty when it comes to wrestling, I love all things wrestling. Welcome back, guys, to Do the Move. I'm excited to talk about Forbidden Door since, most of us were there live. As you can see, my vocal cords still recovering from said event. So I'm excited to get started to talk about this whole card.
What's up, guys? How you guys doing? Beautiful day outside. What a good weekend, everybody. Yeah, Do the Move.
Right on, man. So, got a couple new faces here. Apologize if I keep butchering everybody. Some of us haven't actually met in person before, so it's pretty cool. We're gonna get to talk about wrestling, drink some beers. I got a couple lined up next to me here. Just have a good time. This is what it's all about. So, all about bringing people together and doing fun shit like watching wrestling. So I guess we could start with the buy-in. I'll pull up the matches here. We can kind of go everything, one by one, and then overall, and go from there.
Aaron Solo and QT Marshall versus Hiroki Goto and Yoshihashi. I feel like that was like a fast-paced match. I mean, had some good action, but there wasn't a lot of selling from what I saw. I mean, it was quick. Everybody said QT sucks, whatnot, but at the end of the day, I mean, it's a opener. QT's always on the card.
What's good about QT having a match on the card like that is that he's basically the warm-up match for everybody in there. So, I enjoyed that match a lot. I mean, I wasn't too happy with, QT Marshall because, he's a heel. We got to boo the bad guys over there. But Hiroki Goto really surprised me. I don't watch a whole lot of New Japan, but I am familiar with the wrestlers from New Japan Pro Wrestling. It was super cool to see those guys live in the US for a change instead of having to fly out to Japan. But there was 3 matches on the buy-in, if I'm not mistaken, right? There was that tag team match between the Factory and Hiroki Goto and who was the other one again? I'm sorry if I mispronounced
Uh,
names. And
Yeah,
Yoshihashi?
Yoshihashi.
There was a singles
Yoshihashi, okay.
match, Lance Archer versus Nick Camarado.
I think that was added last minute, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so, because that one wasn't advertised a whole lot. And I think was Lance Archer. I feel like he was sort of doing double duty. He was both AEW and New Japan represented, but I feel more so for New Japan since
I think
he is.
that's
Yeah,
what-
well, Lance is a member of Suzuki Gun in New Japan, so he definitely gets that pull.
Mhm. So that match, I thought it was pretty quick paced. Definitely Lance Archer's style of match. Always enjoy a Haas fight. Never get tired of that. And then Max Caster and the Gun Club facing off against the LA Dojo. I mean, we were there. Crowd was hot for Caster and the Gun Club. Not a whole lot of love for the LA Dojo though. I was actually really surprised that, I mean, even not a peep for the LA Dojo.
Well,
Could you name all 4 members of the LA Dojo in the match off the top of your head right now, though?
No.
Off the top of my head, personally, no. Like I said, Joey, I don't watch a whole lot of New Japan, which, I'm perfectly comfortable with admitting. New Japan, they also have an LA dojo, and they're starting, like USA shows as well too. So
Japan Strong.
not only was that
New Japan Strong.
New Japan Strong. Thank you, Rich. Oh my goodness, I almost forgot the name of it, but excuse me. But that's definitely got to be some new territory that I'm gonna have to look into.
First Strickland, Keith Lee, and Yoshinobu Kanemaru and El Desperado.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Was the tag team match. And if you have been paying attention to AEW Dark, well, right before it was the Battle Royal where Swerve and Keith Lee were in it for the interim, the chance to face Jon Moxley for the interim AEW World Championship. Swerve dumped Keith over the top rope in the Battle Royal, and then there's been some rift between them on AEW Dark, and then there's a little trust issue, and they're trying to figure it out. And from that match, there was like a miscue where Swerve actually hit Keith Lee in the face. I think he was trying to hit I don't know who was in the
I
ring.
think it was Kanemaru.
I think it was Kanemaru. Yeah, Kanemaru was in the ring, and it's like, oh no, but they didn't really go into it at all. I don't know if there's going to be a heel turn in the future for Swerve,
100% there's going to be a Swerve heel turn.
or it could be a Keith Lee heel turn.
Nah.
I don't know if that'll work.
Swerve seems the dirty one.
See, I feel like a Keith Lee turn could somehow work, but Swerve is one of the more likely to turn out of the two.
Facts.
I feel like Keith Lee could be a heel though. I mean, look at the size of him.
Monster heel.
Look at the size of him. This man can manhandle anybody on that roster with ease. You guys saw how he tossed Isaiah Cassidy, I think it was, on his debut.
Oh yeah,
that Beal was epic.
But Swerve works better in my opinion as a heel, especially as a dirty, sneaky heel, like where you can't get your hands on him, and Keith is just trying to get his hands on him for weeks on end, and the big payoff will be when he finally does and puts him through a table or something.
Swerve is a star. I mean, the final 2 minutes of that match, it was like he got the Mario mushroom and just went insane. Like that double stomp to the guy who was hanging by the feet on the outside. I think that was the first standing ovation of the night, and that was in the buy-in. So just further adds fuel to the fire that, not to go back too far, I firmly stand that he and Keith Lee should have won the titles off of Jurassic Express, the last pay-per-view. I'm a firm person in that, but Swerve is a future star. He is a star now, but hey, stars aren't always on the buy-in though. That's all I'll say.
I'll disagree with you on that tag team title debate, but Swerve is definitely talented. He's definitely got everything needed to be a big star with this company. It's just a matter of building him up and putting him into the right position to do so. But Keith Lee, such a presence that you can't ignore him. And you really need to look at Keith Lee and say, what are you going to do with this guy, down the road? Because if you keep him in a tag team, you're squandering him to a certain degree. But once he gets into singles competition, it's a whole different game.
I mean, they were squandered on the buy-in, though, in my opinion. Chad, you're nodding a little bit and folding your arms. So I think you got something there.
He's not wrong. I mean, look at all the other big guys that they've got that are just part of tag teams or they don't do anything with,
But if you gotta set the tone for the night, though, I mean, who better to trust than Swerve and Keith Lee? Those are two guys, two familiar faces that the crowd will know, especially for the buy-in purchases, or not purchases, but buy-in viewers at home who still haven't purchased the pay-per-view. So if they see Swerve and Keith Lee, that might give them a little bit more edge to buy the pay-per-view and see, well, who else is on AEW programming, especially if it's like their first go around with AEW. That's the only thing I'll interject with in terms of like Swerve and Keith Lee being on the buy-in as opposed to the main card.
So let's just go through the card just real quick, and then at the end we'll do our best and worst, our best match, worst match, and then favorite overall moment from this huge card. So let's start with the Wizard, Chris Jericho, the newly initiated heel, Sammy Guevara with Ty Conti. Again, congrats on your nuptials. And the angry, evil grandpa that we love, Minoru Suzuki, versus Eddie Kingston, the Blackpool Combat Club, Wheeler Yuta, and Shota Umino, also known as Shooter. So thoughts? Take it away, gents.
Definitely glad to see Suzuki and Kingston go at it. That was pretty fucking wild. Just the chops back and forth. I mean, you could have probably watched that all night, just the way they were going at it. So probably my favorite part of the match by far. I get Jericho and his super teams that he keeps putting together. I'm kind of over it, but obviously they need to do that to get more people on. So, that was I don't even remember what my prediction was for that match. I probably picked Jericho, but yeah, I don't know. We recorded a whole predictions thing, and I don't think we did anything with it. So I forgot where I stood with this one.
Well, I really love seeing Suzuki every chance that we can get. Suzuki is by far the scariest person I have ever seen from New Japan Pro Wrestling. Not to mention, he was the only person I was cheering for on that side of the ring, because Jericho and Sammy Guevara, I get it, they're talented, I get it, but they have way too much exposure at the moment. So I was very happy to see, Wheeler Yuta get like such a great ovation. Eddie Kingston, of course, always gets a great ovation. And of course, Shota Umino, very, very talented guy. Still learning about myself, but he's definitely one of the better performers that I have ever seen.
Yeah, I was gonna say this match was, it's definitely just a good startup match. Get the crowd into it, get them behind, get them behind the show. Obviously Jericho's a professional through and through, can really just work a crowd and do what he needs to do to get everybody, going. Suzuki, obviously one of the greatest of all time and one of the scariest men in the ring. And then everybody hates Sammy, but that's a whole nother story. As far as the other side, I mean, Kingston, he's got this whole feud with him and Jericho. I'm with Chad on this. It's got to stop at some point. I hope that this blood and guts thing will be the end of it. Yuta, for God's sake, we love Yuta. He's our guy. I just got everything going for us. It's a great thing. And Shota Umino is I love Shota, when he was with Moxley. I'm kind of not sold on him and on his own right now. I don't like his look, but he does work hard in the ring. And I hope that that he leads to at least to bigger and better things. I'm kind of hoping for a gimmick change down the line with him.
That being one of the matches that I actually watched, it was a long pay-per-view, and I didn't know that I should be preparing for this, but my favorite moment of that whole thing, and sometimes it's like how something so simple in a match can be like your favorite part, just a chop off between Eddie and Suzuki was the most intense, exciting part for me to watch. That was so much fun because they're of the same breed. Those two, they're just Mack trucks.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Anytime you watch Suzuki,
And
go for it.
Just specifically with that, you know, we see chop offs all the time. If it's the right people, that makes it exciting. But my favorite part was Eddie started laying them in, and Suzuki just walked into them. There was that moment where he had Suzuki in the corner, and he was chopping, and then Suzuki just kept walking into them. Like, you hit me as hard as you want, I'm going to walk into it and take it even harder. That it was amazing.
And that is why Suzuki is truly terrifying.
Right. Right.
Angry
For real.
grandpa.
Oh my
Angry,
God.
evil grandpa.
Murder grandpa.
Murder grandpa with a cool sock collection. All right,
Yeah.
let's keep this moving forward. The next match we had was the winner take all for the ROH and IWGP Tag Team Championships. It was FTR, who are the ROH, well, AAA ROH champions, but that I don't believe the AAA titles were on the line. Versus Jeff Cobb and the Great O'Khan, who are the IWGP Tag Team champs, and then Roppongi Vice, which is composed of Rocky Romero and Trent Beretta. So I'll take my thoughts. Was Dak's injury a shoot or a work? Because at the live performance, the crowd went dead after Dax looks like got pulled out, and I was like, oh no. I think I took off the hat because I was just like, no, not another injury. But thoughts, gentlemen.
See, like when that happened, I actually like that if it's not serious, if it's not an actual injury and he's just working it into the match somehow, that's what I like. I like it when we see the blurring of the lines between reality and fiction in terms of pro wrestling. That's when pro wrestling is pro wrestling. So props to Dax for not only, toughing it out and coming back into the match, because this match was awesome. I personally love FTR so much. They're my favorite tag team ever. Jeff Cobb and Great O'Khan of United Empire. Those two, I could watch those two go at it with FTR and Roppongi Vice as well too. Roppongi Vice, super, like they sold it for me as well too, because they, I feel like we're the biggest underdogs going into this match and pretty much like afterthoughts. I feel because not a whole lot of people really wanted to. Not a whole lot of people got behind Roppongi Vice as opposed to FTR or United Empire. But with both sets of tag team titles on the line, it made for a really exciting match.
All right, botchy moment, because I have to call it out, and Joey, you can call it out too. Paul Turner, WTF, bro. Technically, Roppongi Vice technically should be the ROH and IWGP Tag Team.
Yep. This ref sucks. This ref sucks.
I mean, we had our buddy John, like he had his ref outfit. We were like, get on out there, man. But
should have sent John.
What? I mean, I understand that mistakes happen, but AEW gets crapped on so much. This is more fuel to the fire. And I'll pass it to Joey along.
All right. Thank you for the hot tag. I feel like, and I said this consistently, Brian, you were sitting next to me. You might have heard me say this too. I feel like the weakest part of this entire show were several ref moments.
Yep.
Chad, you brought up, for instance, not to jump too far ahead. I know where you're going, Chad. I'm going to say it. Not to jump too far ahead. There was a weird moment with Aubrey during the Zack Sabre Jr. match during a submission. I'm not going to give too many details, but
I'm gonna fucking talk about it. She's telling
this was the first in this. Chad, let's just wait for that match, but not to go too deep, but just I feel like this was the first in a domino effect of just bad referee moments. Like I just feel like that this was the weakest part of the show. Which, to be fair, if the weakest part of the show are the refs, that means that the guys doing the actual match, the other people in the ring, men, ladies, whoever, are doing a pretty solid job. So it's not a common critique I'll give about AEW's the weak part is the refs, but man, did it stick out tonight specifically. JT the King, you got a finger up. What's up? Go for it, dog.
Paul Turner was the ref for that match, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, he can go fuck himself.
Actually, I only noticed a few botches from them. I was kind of in and out throughout the show. I wasn't, I didn't have my full attention to it. But again, from the ones that I did see, yeah, I did remember seeing this one. But honestly, it wasn't something that really bothered for me throughout the night. That's just me.
Okay.
It's probably much harder for you to see with the cameras. I mean, because we're just bird's eye based, not like bird's eye, but you can see everything
Right.
going on. So that doesn't surprise me as much.
No,
I'll agree with Bob there though, but it didn't really take away much from the match since the match was so like fast paced and like every tag team got to display their style as well too. So it really didn't take away from like the star power and the magnitude of the match. It was just, one of the simple mistakes that, unfortunately wrestling fans will always talk about.
Moving forward on the card, because we got a lot of card to talk about. We have the newly minted AEW All Atlantic Championship, even though we had people from Japan, Netherlands, which is
Antarctica,
Bulgaria's Atlantic. Clark Connors is from the
Washington State. So the
Washington
Pacific
State. So that's the Pacific Ocean. But yes, the newly minted championship between
Semantic.
Malachi Black versus Pac versus Miro versus Clark Connors, who was supposed to be Tomohiro Ishii, but unfortunately, I feel like this whole damn pay-per-view was cursed with all these damn injuries. Tomohiro Ishii was supposed to be in it, but he had a left knee injury, so Clark Connors was the one that replaced him. And I gotta give props to Connors. He was my person that I said in the preview. It's like, you know what? Screw it. Clark Connors. Let's go. Let's go from there. But I see some hands. Let's go with Sean first, and then I'll get to George.
All right. No, I don't think anyone expected Pac. But considering he's kind of like been that guy to like put others over in such a great way over the past 2 years, I feel like this is sort of his comeuppance and reward for all his hard work with the company and stuff. And I'm pretty excited to see his run moving forward. This was overall a solid match.
Yeah, I mean, this match was definitely, a great match on the card. You got to feel a little bad for Connors because, he really was put in a tough situation with the guys that he was in there with. But he stepped up to the plate and really showed that he can be a main event guy when needed. Obviously he's still very early in his development as a professional wrestler with New Japan. But I hope that this leads to bigger and better things for him down the line. Because I don't want to personally, I don't want to keep thinking of him as a great value Hangman Adam Page. But no, he definitely showed that he can go. But he got his ass kicked during that match. Holy crap. But props to all the guys in that match. Personally, I thought Miro was going to be the one to take that title away. But I'm really glad that Pac won it, because if there was anybody who did deserve it, it was him. He's been a day one guy. He has, given everything to this company. He's been through so much in his professional wrestling career. Obviously when he left WWE, how he got stuck there. And then having to go over to Japan before coming to AEW. Everything with him has led up to this, and I hope now that he gets a proper push towards main event status that he deserves.
So I didn't know
Rip.
that much about Clark Connors coming into Forbidden Door. I just knew he was a New Japan guy, but I haven't subbed to New Japan World in about 2 years. But I was very impressed by his performance. Sure, he did get his butt whooped for like the first half. But when he got that spear on Miro, that was sick. That was sick. And hear the crowd erupt. I feel bad for that kid. Well, actually, I don't really feel bad for that kid in the front row. He might deserved it. Um, but yeah, he's really impressed me, and it makes me want to resub to New Japan World again. And I think he was part of the Best of the Super Juniors. Correct? Anyone? Yes. Makes me want to check out the Best of the Super Juniors just to see his performance on there.
So this All Atlantic Championship match, it's so many people, so many opportunities, and boy howdy did they deliver, because everybody in this match, they played their parts well. Miro, absolutely dominant in parts. Malachi, such a great technician, such a great striker. Pac finally getting his championship that he was owed. Because remember, I don't know if you guys remember or not, Pac was originally one of the first two guys selected to become the All Elite World or the All Elite Wrestling World Heavyweight Champion against Hangman Adam Page. But then that contract thing happened for, I think it was Pro Wrestling Noah. And yeah, I'm just super happy to see Pac with a title finally in All Elite Wrestling. And Clark Connors, excellent job, because this guy, he can take a beating, but he could also dish out a beating as well too. I'm very excited to see what Clark Connors has to offer in the future.
All right, now thank you, Brian. Speaking of the belt, like anybody have any takes about the belt? I think Tyler has got something to say about the new belt.
Just in general, I don't want to spend a lot of time on it because I know we're talking about the card itself, and this is a conversation for another day. I just want to raise the question: how many belts is too many belts? And I don't know if we're there yet with AEW or not. I just know that, you look at other promotions and we get to the point where there's belt after belt after belt, and they usually help elevate people. There's always good intentions, but eventually it's like, now there's so many titles, you don't mean anything. So like NXT a few years ago, it was like, half the card was title matches at a certain point. So I'm not saying we're there yet. I'm not saying we're not there yet. I'm just saying it's something I'd love to talk about in the future, because we've already got a TNT title for TV. Would this be the equivalent of like the IC title in WWE? I don't know, but I just, I always get a little cautious when there's a new belt introduced, when there's already several out there, because how many champions do you need? Even though there's a deep roster, maybe this belt is on Dark instead of the other two shows. I don't know, but I do get a little cautious. Like, are they going to do this right, or is it just going to end up being another cesspool of belts where it doesn't mean anything? So that's all. Just want to throw that out there. Not related to the match itself, but the introduction of that new belt.
Yeah, George.
Just adding on to what he's saying here, like with as many titles as AEW does seem to have, obviously this is going to start to become an issue later down the line. But at the same time, you also have to realize that an ROH, show promotion, whatever, might be coming soon, because they do have Death Before Dishonor coming up, and the rumor is that they're going to announce some sort of television deal or some sort of TV show in conjunction with that. So you may see, some of these, like the All Atlantic Championship getting defended in ROH, which would be fine. It'd be a great little crossover title to kind of keep everything fresh and, get guys over and get eyes on people, and obviously get some recognizable names over to ROH so people will tune in. I would love to see Pac go over there and mix it up with some of those guys. For God's sakes, give me Pac versus Samoa Joe right now. I would love, I want to see that match. Give me Wheeler Yuta versus Pac. Because obviously Yuta being the ROH Pure Champion, although he does seem to have a contender now in Tony Nese, but that's something for another day.
Bullet Club versus Sting, Darby Allin, and Shingo. Hikuleo and Hiromu were supposed to be in it, but Hiromu was serving as valet for that. So got our thoughts with this. So Sting teleports. That's pretty much what I saw. Like, he's up in the rafters, and then there he is on top of the tunnel. Oh, he's jumping on Bullet Club. That's all. That was my favorite part of the match. I don't remember anything else. Joey, what were your thoughts?
I just want to point out, and I said it during the show, Sting is more of a wizard than Chris Jericho will ever be for pulling that off. But one thing that I've been noticing, I feel like, not to bring up a sore subject in Jeff Hardy, I feel like Sting has now done like more dives consistently than Jeff Hardy has. Like, has he literally done more stage dives or crazy stuff since he's been in AEW than he ever did in World Championship Wrestling or TNA?
It's like 3 or 4 within the last like couple months for sure.
Like, this man is a
he's doing all that
63-year-old grandfather, and he's doing this. Like,
And
he's got
he's
nothing
doing-
to prove, and he's still doing this crazy stuff. So I
He's
just want to
doing
throw
it
that out there.
better than Jeff was. Let's be real. I would say better than Jeff, but he looked like he
Just as
wasn't hurting,
often
like-
is what I'll say. Sean,
Yeah.
it looks like you're unmuting. You got something to add to this, sir?
I'm just saying he must have tapped in or like doing double time with DDP yoga or something, because it's like it's not WCW Sting, it's ECW Sting.
It's Sting Jack is what I'd say, but yeah.
Stang.
No, I mean the reemergence of Sting, especially from taking that buckle bomb, like from that injury to him going through numerous the tables. Forgot which match that was. My gosh, there's been so many matches like that.
Seth freaking Rollins, quote unquote.
No, yeah, with the buckle bomb, yeah. What's up? But I'm talking about like in AEW. I'm trying to remember the match because I think he was with Proud and Powerful Santana Ortiz. Forgot which match that was, but
Was that the CM Punk match?
No,
I don't think it was the CM Punk match because that was Punk, Darby, and Sting versus FTR and MJF.
Yeah, I don't remember, but anyways, I'm happy to see the Sting reemergence, getting like free reign to do some of this wild stuff at 63 years old. I won't be doing that stuff at 63, but hey, kudos to him. And I don't know, the Bucks, they have go away heat with me. I mean, yeah, 2-time champs, but originally it was supposed to be the Hardys, which looking at it,
Not a good idea.
I mean, yeah, granted with real life stuff that's going on, I'm glad that Jeff is in treatment, wishing him the best, wishing him speedy recovery. Like, we would love to see Jeff come back whole and get his mind right, get his body right. And well, hell, Matt too. Matt Hardy, both the Hardys, like everybody's hurt. Just making sure that they can, put on performance, because this is like their last hurrah moving forward. Anyone else have anything to say about this match?
Can I just be like Sting when I get that old? Because oh my goodness. I wish I wish I'm just as athletic as Sting when I turn 63 or 62.
It's like Jonathan's got something.
Yeah, Johnny. Or
He is athletic as Sting and as good looking as Billy Gunn.
all right, so let's do Johnny then Tyler.
All right. This match, the best part about it was Sting, obviously. And yeah, I could care less about Young Bucks, Bullet Club's antics. Yeah, I was. Other than that, it was just like it was just another Young Bucks match with all the silliness, all the goofiness. Like, at what point does it start to become wrestling and it becomes a sports entertainment? Like, at that point, line him up with Chris Jericho, because I get it, it's supposed to be fun, but to what point is it just foolishness? Just super kick after super kick after super kick. It just takes the element away from it.
Granted, that was a finishing move by a legend, but
yes.
I think
And
most of
now
us agree with that.
Let's go Tyler, then JT.
So Johnny, I'm right there with you with super kicks in general. One of my favorite moves, but it does take you out of the element when you see them all the time. An interesting thought. First of all, Sting is my favorite wrestler. Always has been because I was a WCW kid. I watched with my dad Monday Nitro for like all of '96 and '97 into '98.
Thunder.
I actually went to a Thunder in Fargo, North Dakota. I saw
Nice.
the Giants, later the Big Show, come out on the shoulders of Roddy Piper because they were going to tag.
Oh, sweet.
But back to this match. You'd think like younger guys like the Young Bucks, and I have all the same critiques you do, Johnny, so I won't repeat those. I 100% on the same page. You'd think like guys like that would be carrying a guy at Sting's age through this match. And my opinion is that Sting carried this match, Sting and Darby together. Like, you take Sting's experience, you look at how he paced it. Like, if anyone was calling the match in the ring, or if there was any part of the match that was called in the ring, I mean, who knows what they, I'm sure the high spots were planned before, whatever. But anything in the ring, I got to think to myself, Sting's calling this, because none of this, like, I don't watch Young Bucks matches and enjoy them the way I enjoyed this match. And I think it was because of Sting. 100%. And the other interesting thing too is, and I heard this on other podcasts, this is not my original thought, but I agree with it. How many guys at 63 can not only to carry, but just hanging with the team like that in general? You know what I mean? Like, this guy can jump, this guy can get in the air and not look like he's blown up. He sells for them. Like, everything that he did was just perfect. And as a Sting fan, like I'm still like the kid in me Sting fan. Like, he's the one guy I watch and I'm like 12 when I watch him again. Sorry, neighbor kid, if you heard that. It was just perfect, everything about it. And for that reason, it was my favorite match, but that's just because I'm a mark for Sting. But man, he carried this match, not the young guys. Sting made that match what it was. I gotta believe that that's the case.
The mystique and aura of Sting just adds to that. And you're right. I mean, you can tell he wants to fucking be there. It's not like they're bringing back the Undertaker, for WrestleMania, and he can barely fucking walk, or he's winded after the first 2 minutes. Like,
and he'll only do it for $1 million.
And only do it for money. And that sucks to say, because I'm like the biggest Undertaker fan. Like, I literally have his fucking logo tattooed on me because I'm that lame.
All right. So I don't know if Brian still has his sign.
It is still in the trunk of my car.
Okay. But I know that my man JT will edit that in. This was the only women's match on the card, and that is an absolute travesty. Like, granted, we heard the post scrum with Tony Khan about like all the issues with Stardom, Tokyo Joshi, but bro, this was the only women's match on the card. Granted, it's for the AEW Women's Championship with Thunder Rosa as your champion versus Toni Storm. Like, from a technical standpoint, this was a great match. It just sucked because I'm tired of this promotion treating the women's match like a bathroom break. And that pains me. And that pains me to say that. And it sucks because those women put on a hell of a show. I went down there with Brian's sign, even though the usher was like, "Tell me to go back to my seat." I was trying to show that we need more women's wrestling.
Should it have even been on this card? Because it wasn't interpromotional.
I'm sorry?
Should it have even been on this card because it wasn't interpromotional? Was this the pay-per-view to have it on?
Yes, it should have.
Okay,
absolutely, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely. I mean,
100%.
Because they couldn't get anyone else.
The whole point was okay. I just thought the point was we were mixing it up every match. That's the only reason I asked. I'm not saying it's not a pay-per-view match. I just
see. You could argue, Tyler. You could argue that Toni Storm was actually the perfect opponent for Thunder Rosa at this point, because Toni Storm spent most of her days in Japan.
Gotcha. Okay.
I was gonna say, because remember, she was a staple in Stardom over there. I want to say she earned titles. I'm not too familiar with Stardom, unfortunately. I apologize for that. But she
that's
spent
the
most
insight
of her.
I didn't have. That's the insight I didn't have because I didn't watch Stardom. So I appreciate that, and now I have a reason to go back and watch it.
Exactly. Yeah. So she spent most of her days coming up in Japan, learning the Japanese style. So I feel like this actually probably deserved the women's spot on the card. It's just a shame that we didn't have more women's matches.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Let me move to George. What are your thoughts about that?
All right. So I am going to give a very hot take here on this one because I'm not gonna lie, I didn't watch this match.
Tread lightly, George.
I know. Of the matches on this card, this was the one I was actually the least interested in, not because of who was competing, but because it didn't feel like there was enough at stake for it. At this point in, Rosa's title reign, Toni Storm is not necessarily a threatening contender yet. While she does have credentials, it didn't seem to me that this was, the time that it was going to happen. And AEW has this thing with titles that they seem to like to do longer runs. And because we're so early into Rosa's run, Toni Storm didn't feel like a credible threat to me. Now, and this is where I'm going to get a little, I'm probably going to get some backlash on this. I don't like Thunder Rosa as a champion right now. I feel that she is a very weak champion that does not elevate that title. I know that's not a popular opinion amongst a lot of people, but she really isn't bringing much to keep me interested as a fan. She's got a great entrance. She's got a lot behind her in terms of, wrestling tradition and in background. But right now, she does not feel like a strong champion to me. If I'm going to book that women's title to make it stronger, what I want to do with it is to put it on Jade Cargill, who's got all this popularity, all this momentum. All the fans want to see her. So I want to see that Thunder Rosa Jade Cargill match somewhere down the line and make Jade a double champion. Now, as far as promotional aspect of this, I understand Toni Storm has that Japanese background. However, obviously that with politics, what they are, and just the situation with booking and yada, 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 we couldn't get a Japanese wrestler over, which I was extremely disappointed with, because currently sitting in Stardom, and I would have killed for this match, Kairi Sane is in Stardom. Could you imagine Kairi Sane on this card? The fans would have lost their minds. So I hope that we do, that Tony Khan can work this out later down the line and we can get that match. They're talking about doing a Japanese Forbidden Door in Japan, possibly send Rosa over there to, get her, an opponent there, because obviously travel will be easier and everything like that. So maybe we could have that Kairi Sane Thunder Rosa match over there. And again, that would be something that draws eyes to product. Stardom is a very big promotion in terms of women's wrestling in Japan. As much, obviously with the link with Tokyo Joshi with AEW is one thing, but Stardom is another level. They are at a level that is equal to, if not greater than New Japan in terms of what they mean to women's wrestling. So getting Stardom involved would be a very big deal for AEW and for New Japan, obviously. So again, I do want to, I want to see Thunder Rosa drop this title sooner than later. But again, I need a credible champion to follow her up.
And that's fair. Let's move on to Chad. What's your thoughts? And then...
Well, I was just gonna piggyback off George there. They're kind of doing the same thing they did with Hangman, in my opinion. Is the chase was much greater than his run. Jade's with the TBS title is here and Thunder Rosa's here. I mean, she's just elevating that title way much more than the main women's title is, and that's obviously a big problem. They've got a lot of credible talent. Women wise, I think Toni is a great superstar, great wrestler. But like you said, Thunder's only so far into her run. Toni didn't really have a credible chance from that standpoint. I personally was kind of disappointed in the match. I wasn't really into it, maybe because of that, just because I knew, it was going to go to Thunder right away. I don't know, just the whole women's thing right now is disappointing. The fact that there was only one women's match on the card is disappointing. I think the TBS title probably should have been on the card more so than the main women's title at that point, just based on what we've seen being done with it. I think they definitely.
The next match on this card was the United Empire's IWGP US champion Will Ospreay, leader of the United Empire without the belt because it's on Mr. Joliet, is what I'm going to call him, versus Wesley Squeeze, Orange Cassidy. This is my favorite match of the night. Like, I don't know why. I know Orange Cassidy gets shit on a lot, but and the dynamic between him and Will Ospreay, I thoroughly enjoyed this match. More, I don't know why. It was something about this match that just, oh my gosh, it was great. It was great. If you were at AEW Revolution or watch AEW Revolution, Orange Cassidy versus Pac, it gave me the same feeling.
Same vibes, man.
Yeah, the same vibe. Like, Chad, take it away. I can talk about this.
I feel the same exact way. I definitely think this was the best match of the show by far. I mean, maybe not by far. It's just I wouldn't say predictability of Orange Cassidy, because he just doesn't give a shit. But like when he is on it, he is on it. I mean, it was a great match. Lots of comedy bits in it too, but I mean, it was pretty spot on. I mean, you can't really ask more from a character like that going against Ospreay of all people, you know. Like when I think of Ospreay, and I don't really watch New Japan stuff or, you know, much of his work, but I follow him on social media and I know how big of a star he is and how much of a talent, you know, his character, personality wise, you know, he's great. And the fact that Orange Cassidy can put up a great match like that against a guy like him shows the worth of Cassidy. Now I know Joey is going to come out and say, well, they push OC too much, blah, 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 which I do agree with. He's on TV a fucking lot for a, you know, kind of a comedy character like that in a sense. But when it's go time and they tell him, hey, go out there and fucking wrestle, he's going to do it and he's going to put on a damn good show. So I know we were going to wait till, you know, what our best and worst matches were, but that was the best match to me of the card.
All right, George.
Sorry about that. Yeah, no, I'll 100% agree. Best match of the card. I don't even have to question it. But yeah, Orange Cassidy is definitely just criminally underrated as far as what he's able to do, especially for a guy who's pushing 40. I don't think anybody realizes about him. But yeah, this match was definitely, you know, the show stealer for the night. You know, a lot of people, you know what Orange Cassidy's about. For those who don't know anything about Ospreay, though, like this was the eye opener, and Ospreay is very, very good. You know, especially now that he's moved up to the heavyweight division permanently, because he was a junior heavyweight for the longest time. And this match, you know, really showcased what he's capable of in the heavyweight division and what he's still capable of against almost a true junior heavyweight in Orange Cassidy. You know, he will be the future of New Japan for a long time, and he's going to, you know, carry that company. I hope that we get to see this match again somewhere down the road. I'd love to see Orange Cassidy go over to like do the G1 or something like that. But yeah, this was definitely the show stealer of the night.
All right, we'll do JT and Brian after, and then Sean afterwards, and then we'll move on because this was definitely the talk of this is the most exciting match. So yeah, let's talk. Everybody, if you got your opinion, raise your hands.
Yeah. So this match, like everyone else here, is my match of the whole night. Biggest thing about pro wrestling is pacing and ring psychology. And going back to George, I didn't know this guy, Orange Cassidy's pulling or pushing 40, which is crazy to think because he looks like he's at least like early 30s, you know. But man, it was just like a roller coaster, or more like a bungee jump, right? You're walking up the steps, right? You're getting that anticipation of something's gonna happen eventually, right? But they're like nice and easy pace, right? And then all of a sudden, quick moves, and then the crowd's like, oh, right? And then they slow back down. It's cool. It's like I think of it as like music, right? Dynamics, right? That match had dynamics, and I just loved it, especially towards the end. It felt more like a New Japan style towards the end, where they start doing quick matches, and now the crowd's going like amped up, ready for the next thing, what's going to happen. Especially the near falls. The near falls were just like, man, I thought Orange Cassidy was going to take a victory for sure, you know. But yeah, match of the night for me. I loved it.
I do want to interject real quick, and I apologize to interrupt, but it's crazy how you mentioned the difference between pacing and matches with like AEW and New Japan. New Japan, you get like those crazy, like quick moves like that. Like seeing guys like Jay White and Osprey, like when they just like give a quick move and then they reverse it, or they land it and then they go into another move, and it's just like that. Like it's just like with the flick of a wrist. Like it's incredible. Like I've never seen some shit like that before, and he was just on it. I mean, it's just incredible stuff by him.
This would have been my match of the night if it weren't for one thing. And it took me out of the element so damn bad, and probably a lot of other people. The fucking ref. Orange Cassidy should be champ right now, if all things considered, because he did get a 3 count. And they just played it off like it was nothing. Oh, it was 2. No. We watched that ref. That ref needs to go to dark for the foreseeable future. No more pay-per-views for him.
All right. Well, thank you, Sean. But yeah, ultimately, I feel like it's almost unanimous. It's the match of the night for everyone. I know that we're like jumping the gun over here, but man, that was epic. You got something, Chad?
I still want to hear Joey's thoughts, because he's always been.
Oh yeah, Joey's been very quiet.
He's been quiet about this one. He was bitching about it.
Yeah, let's.
Surprising for Joey to be so quiet all the time.
Yeah, very.
I wasn't per se bitching about it. What I was more so
you were.
saying and
He was
responding, what I was more so doing was, Chad said it was his favorite match of the night. A lot of you are saying it's the best match of the night. To me, and this kind of is a nice segue, the best match of the night for me was the next match, Zack Sabre Jr. versus the mystery opponent. And I feel like nobody here is going to agree with me on that. So that's what I was more so talking about. So it's not that I hated this match. It's just that I thought the next match was a lot better.
You know you have a disdain towards Orange Cassidy. We know.
I don't.
We know it. Yes, he does. Just
Yes,
like
you do. You do.
No,
You do.
I don't.
You do.
I
You
don't.
definitely do. It's okay. So backstory
don't.
here. Anytime me and Joey watch a show together, anytime Orange Cassidy he's on, he's like, oh, he's overplayed. Oh, they need to put someone else on TV. Oh, they put him on too much. And I will agree to a point, which is why I said it. They do put him on TV a hell of a lot, but he's over. People like him. I see more people dressed like fucking Orange Cassidy than probably anybody else right now. And if I'm wrong,
Darby,
maybe
yeah.
Darby. But if I'm wrong, call me out. Orange Cassidy is way over compared to everybody else. And
I just
I know
think-
that upsets you because he's not that serious of a character. It does, because you
It
always
really
talk about it.
doesn't.
But if that really upsets you, then that should set precedent.
You are forcing.
Let me
the
finish, Joey.
issue.
Let me finish before you start crying, please. If more people, more wrestling fans are following Orange Cassidy and are pulling for him, that says a lot about the rest of the roster, where they need to catch up. So we got kids dressed up like this guy. I mean, that says a lot about wrestling. Wrestling, kids, not so much adults, but obviously the adult viewership is way higher than, it probably should be. But I mean, everybody's wrestling like this guy. Like, he's over for a reason. He's going to be on TV for a reason. And he proved he can wrestle. So that's just my thoughts.
My only thing, again, I liked the ZSJ, Zack Sabre Jr. match against Claudio, not Cesaro. Match better. And I just don't think OC should consistently be wrestling or in contention for singles titles as often as he has been. That's all I'm saying.
All right. Fair enough. All right. Let's all be good and hug it out at the end.
Rich, I got something in my pocket for Joey. Hang on.
There's no issues on my side. I'm just calling it how it is. I'm being 100% honest here.
Okay. Oh, damn it. Lost my train of thought for a second. Okay, we're moving on. So Joey did allude to it. Zack Sabre Jr. over from New Japan was originally supposed to wrestle Bryan Danielson, but it seemed like Bryan Danielson, they haven't alluded to the injury, but it seems like he got a concussion, which takes him out of the Forbidden Door pay-per-view as well as this upcoming Wednesday's Blood and Guts. But in his promo to Zack Sabre Jr., there was a mystery opponent that was going to be a part of the Blackpool Combat Club, and they would be announced at Forbidden Door. And lo and behold, it turned out to be the artist formerly known as Cesaro, Claudio Castagnoli. And that was a huge pop. Like, everybody's like, yeah. I disappeared, but yeah.
You disappeared. Anyone quiet?
You disappeared.
Yeah. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, you're good now.
All right. Yeah. Claudio is back. But thoughts about this match? I real quick take. Zack Sabre Jr., when they say technical wrestler, holy shit. That man can wrestle. Same with Claudio. We knew Claudio was going to go over, but still, holy shit. Thoughts.
I would agree. He was really good. I wasn't expecting that, but did we see him in GCW, or am I thinking of somebody else?
You might be thinking of Speedball Mike.
Okay, I know
Bailey,
Speedball is very similar. I wasn't sure. I know he looked familiar, but yeah, I will give Joey the benefit of the doubt. This is definitely second best match. I'm not rating this one higher than the OC match because it was a little more predictable as to who was going to be the mystery opponent.
So, as somebody who loves technical wrestling and especially submission style wrestling, I live and breathe for Zack Sabre Jr. He is so good. And I'm glad that he finally got a big stage, to showcase that. It was great. And, not to take anything away from Claudio, but Zack Sabre Jr., like, you give this man any time to do anything, and he is going to put on a technical spectacle in that ring. It's a shame that we couldn't get Bryan Danielson, to help showcase that, but obviously Claudio was a good stand-in. And now, as far as, Claudio goes, obviously huge pop. There was a lot of speculation because obviously people thought maybe Johnny Gargano would have been in there because he was in town as well. There was a couple other weird little rumors popping up here and there, but basically it was down, to Claudio, and it was, and now obviously with everything coming out, it was always going to be Claudio, should this have happened. But I guess because obviously this was not the original plan to debut Claudio, but the opportunity presented itself, and it worked out well. I will say, this was not my match of the night. It was a very good match, but I would have liked to have seen a little bit more mat wrestling out of Claudio than I got, because I think that's where Danielson would have stepped up the game and then maybe would have made this match of the night for me. But Zach did the best with what he had, and obviously this was a short notice thing for him. And my only complaint about this match is that I wasn't watching it at home to hear Taz's commentary on it, because I wanted to hear Taz call all these technical submission moves and just, be flabbergasted by some of the stuff Zach can do. So hopefully I get that sometime in the future. I'd love for Zach to stay over here for a little while, maybe do, a talent trade with New Japan for a little bit, do a couple of little shows, with AEW for maybe a month or so, and, then head back. So, if I get that, great. If not, I'm not disappointed. But again, great match, but not my match of the night. Zach is a technical master. He's trained in the British catch wrestling style, which is a very brutal submission wrestling style. and Zach showcases it to, as it should be, to the best of his ability. He puts it on his back and he has showcased it, wonderfully. And obviously being, part of Suzuki-gun, he's got to do some heelish things. So the joint manipulation makes a lot of sense from that standpoint. And he just makes it look so nasty, and I love it.
All right, so here we go. If you didn't watch the promo before, well, the promo of this this podcast, you know where I'm going with this. So
Rainmaker! Rainmaker! Rainmaker!
Yeah, yes. God damn it. So this was for the IWGP World Championship, which is a belt over in New Japan Pro Wrestling. We should have did that earlier if people aren't familiar with that. But we have the champion, Switchblade Jay White, in a fatal four-way. I don't even know if they call it a four-way. It's a four-way match. Switchblade Jay White is the champion. Adam Cole, baby, is the challenger. Hangman Adam Page, that's Chad's boy. And my boy, Rainmaker. Rainmaker. Rainmaker.
He said it so much he fucking disappeared again.
Oh, God. Kazuchika. Oh, man, I butchered his name. Okada. God damn it.
He's a fan. He can't even say his name right.
Oh, no, I'm just messing up the whole like Tony Khan hugging him. I want you to put my face on that with Okada being hugged. Like,
I'll get on it after the show. How about that? And I'll post it on all the socials.
Oh my gosh. So this match started off great and ended with a dudge because of, unfortunately, like we didn't know, but later because of Sean Ross Sapp reporting that Adam Cole had suffered a concussion, which the folks that were in the crowd were like, what the fuck happened? But ultimately, I enjoyed it until we got to that point. If we're looking at the finish, it was supposed to be Okada to give the Rainmaker to Adam Cole, but Adam Cole went like dead legs. And then Jay White would do the Blade Runner on Okada, who would roll out and then look like Jay White was supposed to pin Adam Cole. From the psychology of it, but the way that it showed, it was
it was all mushed together. Basically.
Yeah, it was like
so fast.
Yeah,
like
from the audience perspective.
Like Cole got pinned, and then we all like were like, all right, match is going, and then the bell rang. Like you heard the ref count to 3, and we're all just like looking at each other like, what the fuck? Like I stood up and everyone was sitting down like, what? Like we're all looking around. We had no idea what was going on. And we finally saw like replays after the show, like, oh, Cole got fucked up. I didn't see the move that hurt him, but
it was, I think it was the Okada drop kick to the face.
Yeah, and Rich was really upset because he never got to hit the move.
He didn't do the move.
He didn't do the
move.
Otherwise, we would have had the move of the move.
Man, JT, you got to put the move on there. Damn it, he did not do the move. And that's what I was waiting for. I was so upset that the move was not done.
We didn't talk the whole next match.
Oh man, it's just I mean, I get it. Injuries happen. It seems a lot more frequently in this promotion than other promotions, but I mean, everybody's been hurt. But man, I did not see the move.
It very well could have been the match of the night if it went smoothly, in my opinion. I think everything that was building up to that point, I mean, it was he gets in, does his move, he gets in, does his move. Like it was just, crisscross in the ring at one point in time. And then that happened and the momentum kind of dropped because everyone was like just in shock. So
any other thoughts about this match?
Yeah, I will say the finish of it all. I mean, it looked like Jay White was just trying to steal a win because remember, he did beat Okada for the title. But do you think he really wants to beat Okada again? I mean, he wants to retain his championship by any means necessary. So it made total sense to me that he wanted to pin Adam Cole. It was just Adam Cole legitimately kicking out on instinct that kind of threw everybody off. But hopefully Adam Cole's all right now. And hopefully we see a little bit more of Switchblade Jay White and maybe potentially a little bit more of Okada in All Elite Wrestling down the line.
Did you say Okada?
Oh God, I'm gonna have to add
Rainmaker.
We gotta
on the
make that in the soundboard. We gotta put it on the soundboard. All right, George.
All right. So yeah, this was this match definitely, had everything you wanted in terms of star power. I do feel bad that we didn't get to see a Rainmaker, but at least we got our wide shot. So but yeah, it's tough to really, have the end of that match the way it was. Obviously, safety of the competitors does come first and foremost. So I'm glad that they did what they had to do to keep everybody safe. I will say I wish Hangman Page would have played a bigger role in the finish, especially with the long-term storyline of him and Okada. Because there's a very long-term thing that not a lot of people remember is back when Hangman was still part of New Japan. He in his one of his last things he did was a G1 tournament in which he took Okada to the limit in the G1. And Okada said, this guy's a future world champion, and he had a lot of respect for Hangman after that match. So it was good to see them come back and bring a little bit of that with them. I hope that we can see Hangman versus Okada again in a one-on-one match. I'd love to see it for a title. It doesn't necessarily need to be for a title, but somewhere down the line, I want those two in a one-on-one match, and I hope that we get it. Now back moving over to Jay White, props to him for realizing what the situation for what it was, and making the right call. Obviously, it's not easy to manage something like that, but that just speaks to Jay's, ring generalship as far as that goes. Jay is a wrestler who is very wise beyond his years. I believe he's only about 25, 26 at the most. He is not a old wrestler, but he certainly wrestles like a veteran guy. And thankfully, realizing that Cole was hurt, he made the right call of getting that match over with, and making sure that everybody got something. But obviously I wish he could have done something a little bit to make it a little bit more believable as far as the finish goes, but there really wasn't much you can do. So hopefully we get, we'll get along, we'll get something more. And I'm seeing in our little chat here, Joey saying Jay is 29, but yeah, he is still very young.
Still close.
Yeah.
He's younger than me.
Younger than, please, I'm young. I'm older than Jay White.
I was gonna add to what you're saying though. I did like the dynamic of like Jay and Cole teaming up, and then Hangman and Okada for like the first, I guess you could say almost half the match, and then Jay and Cole finally turned on each other, and then that brought Hangman and Okada to start going at it. So that was, I mean, it was kind of expected. I did kind of laugh though that Cole was the one to get pinned. I'm not much of an Adam Cole fan personally. Granted he's hurt, so it's really not funny, but I think if we didn't have some of those New Japan guys in that match, the match probably would have kept on going, just from previous track history of injuries in AEW shows. I think the worst one we've seen is definitely the Matt Hardy incident like a year and a half ago. That definitely good on Jay for realizing that, good ring awareness and awareness of the people he's working the match with to not let that get uglier than it could have, because a lot of guys would just continue and push on, but Adam was basically knocked out, shoulders on the mat, so it wasn't too much of work for him. He knocked out Okada and then just covered him. So hopefully Cole comes back soon though.
All right, and we are coming down to the last match on the card. It was for the interim All Elite Wrestling Championship due to our current champion CM Punk being hurt. It's a recurring theme for this. But both the challengers, it was Tanahashi from New Japan versus I can't do it as good as Justin Roberts from
We'll let
but
John plug the audio in.
Hiroshi Tanahashi, John Moxley, the match, I mean, for what it was, I think if you were at the live event, it got overshadowed by an actual fight that happened in section, I think it was 107 on the other side, or on the other side, because everybody was like, you fucked up.
There's a
You
video
fucked
floating
up.
around of it.
Yeah, there's a video that was floating around, but I don't know what had transpired, but all I know is that there was a security guard that choked some dude in the neck, and then the dude swung at the security guard, and we're just like, what is going on? Because that distracted from the main event, which really sucks, because usually if you go to a pro wrestling event, it's wholesome people are enjoying themselves. I don't know if it was too much to drink, but
Probably.
I don't know.
I think someone else got carried out too that night.
Yeah, there was someone earlier. So let's go JT and then we'll do George.
I was looking forward to the main event, but that one section over there just ruined it for me. I tried my best to like pay attention to the match, but I just kept thinking of that guy swinging at the security guard. But I just feel so bad for the main event. So I'm gonna be rewatching that main event again because I just got it on BR Live. But I just feel so bad for Moxley and Tanahashi.
Yeah, so as far as the fans go, I think in total 3 people got taken out that I saw. Obviously the one I mentioned earlier, who was taking pictures of Ty Conti. But as far as those guys that were fighting during the main event, I did find a little bit of info on what's going on. Nothing really concrete, but basically the 2 guys have been arguing all night over something to do with the card. And it just finally erupted after one too many drinks. But I digress here. Obviously, don't be that fan, to anybody who watches in the future. Wrestling is supposed to be a fun event. It is supposed to be an inclusive event. We want everybody to go and have fun. So don't be that guy, because if you're gonna be that guy, don't come. We don't want you there. Now, focusing on the match itself, this did come across to me as a pretty bog standard match as far as what Moxley and Tanahashi were capable of. There was one awkward moment, and I didn't really realize it until I was watching Ross on Cultaholic mention it. At the point where Moxley started bleeding from his head, the lead up to that was that Tanahashi did a sling blade, and then Mox rolled out of the ring. That was it. There was nothing else to cause that, and it was kind of just like an awkward moment. I was like, and I remember turning over to Johnny, and I was like, what happened? Like, what happened? Did we miss something? Like, did Mox hit his head on the apron or something like that? And it was just, we couldn't figure out what was going on. Like, why was Mox busted open? So I think that took away from the match a little bit. As far as I know it's supposed to have elevated that match to be a bigger match, but it definitely felt like it took away from it, in my opinion. And I know why they did it too, and it kind of sucks why they did it. It's not so much for the match itself, but more for the DraftKings tie-in. Because DraftKings had a predictions thing for this match where you could win some money, which thankfully I did. But basically one of the things was would somebody bleed in this match, and of course I guessed for Moxley. But again, this was just a dumb thing as far as my concern was. Everything else felt like a pretty regular match as far as a New Japan match of a Tanahashi versus Moxley goes. and and then the other thing that really took away from it was the aftermath of this match. I don't know if we're going to cover that or not, but I don't want to dwell on that too much.
So this match, obviously, the distraction in the crowd took a little bit out of it, but this match I was actually very focused in on, because every time I go to a wrestling show, I always like to focus on the main event. And this one was definitely a very, very good matchup. Not to mention that, like George mentioned too, it did feel more like a New Japan style match and New Japan paced match. And that does kind of make sense to me based on other New Japan matches that I've seen. Of course, Moxley going over Hiroshi Tanahashi. I mean, I feel like we all could have seen the writing on the wall there. I mean, they did a great job in the match, but I kind of wish they had somebody other than Moxley in that match. But all credit to him. Moxley put on a hell of a show, and it's not every day you get to go against a legend like Hiroshi Tanahashi. So it's definitely one of the matches that I was very, very interested in.
Yeah, basically like everybody else is saying, the distraction in the crowd. Now I will point out, when that kind of started happening, that's when they were pretty much on the mat, like wrestling. So it was definitely a much slower part of the match. So I don't think I mean, I want to go back and watch it. I don't think we missed a whole lot just by focusing in. Which sucks that we had to have that kind of distraction, because me personally, in the amount of wrestling shows that I've gone to with y'all, I've never seen anything like that. So it's pretty disappointing, especially at a Chicago crowd, because I feel like we usually are one of the better crowds, when it comes to WWE, AEW, any of that kind of stuff. So that was bullshit. But match itself was okay. I mean, I wasn't really disappointed with it. You definitely knew Mox was going to win going into it. The whole way they went about it kind of bugged me, because they had Wardlow, and then there's like, oh, well, he's going for the TNT title. Get fucked. And I don't know, like the whole momentum of the whole interim champ thing just wasn't it for me personally. I did like the idea that Mox could potentially lose it, because Punk did say specifically in a promo that he wanted to wrestle Tanahashi. So I thought that would be pretty cool, considering it's, he's just an interim champ. It's nothing long term. So Punk can get that match. Obviously that wasn't going to happen, but I still had my hopes, a little high for that. Because it's different, instead of us getting someone who's already won the belt, now he's technically got two, he's won it twice. He's the first two-time champ, for the world title. So, interim. I know.
So 1.5 times.
I know.
It's still a title reign in my book.
It's still a title reign, and I didn't think they needed to give it to Mox personally.
But at the same time, like you alluded to, Chad, at the same time though, Mox doesn't always have to keep it.
Right.
He can always lose it.
But I know we've got all this bullshit going on with MJF. It would have been a perfect opportunity to give it to him, because then they can go at it again and go through all that bullshit. Just a thought. I like the Punk MJF spats. It's some of the best promo work I think we've had between the two guys, because it's almost been real. And obviously all MJF stuff recently has been pretty much real as well. So I don't know. That's one way I would have went with it. Granted, I know everything kind of blew up with MJF recently, but it's just everything just happened so quick and last minute. I just was all right. And I do want to add, Mox blading in like every fucking match reminds me of like Hogan and Flair and TNA, just blading every time.
It's like Cody.
Cody doing the same thing. Like, it's excessive. Like George was saying, like, I don't even think there's a move that would have really caused him to be cut open, and he just like dove under the ring and bladed. And well, that's what it looks like from the stands. Like, it was just so abrupt and like just totally whack, and he was just bleeding the whole match. So
I'll go with the theory that Danhausen was under the ring and bit him.
maybe. I was hoping we get a Danhausen spoof somewhere in the whole show, but and then I will say, you are right about the whole post-match deal thing. if you weren't there, Mox, they handed Mox a microphone and everybody started coming out and he just started rambling for like 10 minutes. None of it really made any much sense. So it didn't really do much for me either. And the Jericho Appreciation Society came out and tried to jump him, and it's a bunch of bullshit. So that's just my take on it.
All right, Johnny, I know we wanted to get you, bro. What are your thoughts?
Honestly, I wish it was not John Moxley winning it, but it is what it is. I enjoyed the match to a point. I don't know why Moxley needs to bleed every match. The running at the end, I'm just tired of run-ins. Like, why does everybody have to do a run-in and now? Like, run-ins. That's pretty much it. I'm just tired of the run-ins from everybody.
Especially when it's Jericho. Who was in like 3
especially when
segments
it's
of the
Jericho.
show.
So many fucking run-ins.
Like he had the match, and then I saw, who did he do the fireball to?
Shooter
behind
Little red
the
shoes.
scenes, and then he fucking jumped him at the end. It's like, dude, you gotta be in every segment. Like, I get he was in New Japan and had a bunch of matches too, before going over to AEW, but I was like, come on, man, like, just give me anybody else. There's so many guys that and my mic's fucking muted now. That's awesome. There's just so many other guys that I could have done anything, maybe the other guys who were ranked, for a belt, since the rankings seem to not mean anything anymore, wins or losses, just from what I can see on both sides. I was bitching about that at the end of the show too. Like, there's just, what's the point of it if we're gonna give like the same few people like shots,
Welcome to All Elite Wrestling, where the wins don't matter.
Yeah. So, all right, we'll move on here.
All right.
Final thoughts.
Yeah, overall, great pay-per-view. I know that we talked about like pros, cons, like our best moments. I feel like mostly everybody said Orange Cassidy versus Will Ospreay, and then like the worst moments was like injuries, ref work from there, but hell of a lot better than Double or Nothing. Like, yeah, definitely an hour shorter.
That was the nice part.
Definitely an hour shorter from there.
Still didn't get home till midnight.
So but still, we got there. George, you have a point before we get on to like the chef's kiss, and then we'll do our bone to pick. I think me and JT have a bone to pick with Mr. Joliet, and then we'll wrap it up.
Yeah, so I mean, saying obviously this was a longer show, but it didn't. I will say, being there, it didn't feel as long as it was. Everything was paced very nicely. There wasn't a whole lot of breaks in the action where like you didn't feel like you were sitting around waiting for something to happen. Everything kind of kept moving, and the show felt very put together to the point that everybody left feeling satisfied and left feeling like they didn't just fall asleep during anything, because that was my concern, was that I wasn't going to be able to stay awake for all this. Coming to this event, I had been up since 5 o'clock that morning, and I didn't get home until midnight. So yeah, but as far as what I'd rate this, I'd say this is probably about a 4 out of 5 for me as far as the pay-per-view goes. There was obviously some room for improvement, in certain places. Obviously the standout match for me was Ospreay and Orange Cassidy. But yeah, a great show. But probably not the greatest show, but definitely one that I'll remember fondly. And hopefully we'll get some more, we'll get these guys together again. I would love to see some guys that weren't on this card come over to AEW. I was very disappointed we didn't get to see Tetsuya Naito on this card at all. But I think that might have had something to do with the whole AAA issue. Because I would love to have seen Naito versus Andrade on this card. But hopefully that's something that can happen down the line.
Yeah, this card was amazing. Way better than Double or Nothing in my opinion. Also just being there, just seeing the live crowd, big pops. for all the wrestlers. It was a great show. Definitely like a 4 out of 5 show. Again, best match of the night, Cassidy versus Osprey. But after that match, we got like a little beat down, right? And then someone special came out. So there's, traditional guitar chords. There's like the Jimi Hendrix guitar chord, but there's a special guitar chord called the Shibata guitar chord, and it goes something like this. Isn't that so beautiful?
Hell yeah.
Well, I don't want no scrubs.
That's gonna be a new opening for the podcast.
Oh
I think.
man, and then we're gonna get sued.
Just buy that chord.
We're gonna get DMCA.
It's a chord, not a song.
It's so soothing for a man who is absolutely terrified.
Yeah.
Shibata is, oh my goodness. I've only seen a few clips of Shibata online, and let me tell you, the man scares me.
Yeah, no,
He scares me so much.
Shibata is so cool though. Like I've had very little unfortunately with Shibata, because obviously injury took him out at a prime point in his career for a long time. My fondest memory though, I believe it was Wrestle Kingdom 8 when he fought Minoru Suzuki. Oh my god, that was such a great match. But when the Shibata's music hit, like I was holding back tears. Like I'm so glad to see him getting better, coming off that horrific injury. And I hope he can come back to wrestling full time. I know that's probably a very lofty dream, but if he gets at least one more good match, I'll be happy.
We were on the Solid Monster page, and Joey had tagged me in what we viewed the show. A lot of people were saying it was the best pay-per-view of the year. I don't know if it is personally. Possibly the best AEW show of the year. I think it's up there. Granted, there's Revolution and Double or Nothing. Obviously, Double or Nothing is probably the worst one of the year, just with the length and everything that went on with that. But I'd probably say, and this is what Joey said, probably between a 3.5 and 4 out of 5. I just like the fact that we had an opportunity to see people not from AEW or WWE, from Japan. And I really do hope we see a Forbidden Door 2 in Japan. I think that would be a really neat idea as a continuation. Maybe give us some more women's matches if that's even possible. Send some of our guys over there, just to have another great show. I would love to travel to Japan and see wrestling and make an effort to do that. Because it's their crowds and the things out there are just so different than they are here. We're rowdy fucking redneck drunk fucks, and they're just so calm and clap for a couple seconds and they're done. They let them do their art, their masterpiece in the ring. So hopefully we get another one. Excited to see what goes on the next couple weeks in Dynamite and Rampage. That's about it. I don't think I really had anything else to bitch about. I will say we didn't say what our least favorite matches were, but I think we all kind of alluded to that in our discussion. But we'll continue on.
Yeah, so I already said my favorite match, and that's just, I will admit, I'm just biased because I will always and forever love Sting, and he's also my birthday brother, so that's fun every March. But as terms of NJPW and AEW in general, I'm trying to watch AEW consistently, but I don't to the degree that you guys do, and I'm definitely a passive watcher, like a casual fan when it comes to New Japan. I watch pay-per-views with John, when I, lived in Chicago. I watch pay-per-views with people out here, but I don't keep up. So when I watch a big pay-per-view like this, I know I want to watch, but I know that I'm not on the kind of like the hip crowd of everything that's going on. I just asked myself, 1 to 10, did I have fun watching this, from start to finish? And I will say that that's what I felt like watching this one. It was a lot of fun, and I was at Double or Nothing. And I will tell you that I did fall asleep at one point. I can't remember what point, but I fell asleep for about 10 minutes because it was so long, and there were some fun matches. But you'd think being at a pay-per-view, you'd be having fun the whole time. but I was like in and out. Like I was in it for 30 minutes and I was out for 15. I really wish I would have been able to go to this one, but just overall, it was just fun. And that's, so hopefully I can bring some actual analysis at some point as I watch more, New Japan, which AEW is going to force me to do now. So, and I learned a lot listening to you guys. So thank you for bringing me into that world a little bit more outside of my WWE bubble.
I think that's the nice part about us doing this is because a lot of us do get to go to a lot of the shows because we're just that far into it. I mean, these guys are way more into this shit than I am, believe me. I mean, because of them,
Who
if
are
it
these
wasn't
guys?
for-
Do you
if
watch
it wasn't-
NASCAR at all? I'm just curious.
No, not at all.
You should. I think you'd like it.
Yeah,
I don't even watch wrestling. I don't even know why I'm on this.
I'm watching racing a lot more, so I'm more of like the real big hick shit. So if it wasn't for Joey and Bob and Brian, my cousin, I probably wouldn't be doing a lot of this shit like I do. But it's nice to see like our views and our thoughts from the show because we were there, and then like yours and Bob's because you guys were just watching it on TV or pay-per-view. So there's a lot of things we see because we're there, and there's a lot of things that you can pick up on TV. It's just a different way of viewing it, and it's nice to put those ideas or thoughts together because they can be the same 90% of the time or 90% of the time they're contrasting because it's just completely different. I do think when I show my friends who aren't into wrestling and I show them videos of me there, they're like, man, it's so different without commentary and stuff like that. Like you're seeing everything at once. You're not seeing one individual viewpoint. So I think being able to get those different viewpoints on a podcast is important. So it's nice that we're able to do that with our first review or in-person review episode. So thank you for joining us and sharing that.
No, I just want to add, for anybody who couldn't attend the show, I hope that you get to attend a show in the future. Obviously, it's rare that New Japan comes over for anything. So if you do get a chance to see New Japan, I would advise you to take it. But yeah, I'll be the first one to say, because I am the resident wrestling fan in this, as far as the nerdier side of this. I've been, obviously been watching wrestling a long time, and I've probably watched with the most New Japan out of everybody here, to the point that I've actually run panels at conventions about New Japan. So I can speak from experience when I say this. If you liked the taste that you got of New Japan, you're gonna love the taste of the whole meal of New Japan watching a full New Japan show. It's so much good wrestling. Japanese crowds are different, and that's one thing you do got to get used to watching New Japan, especially now during the pandemic. I know right now, like most New Japan crowds, they're not allowed to cheer, period. It's strictly clapping and I think foot stomping. But when you get to see some of those, the fans do get excited to the point that they just can't hold back. That's when you're watching a great match. And I could always recommend classic matches in New Japan. Anything with Okada is always going to be great, especially if you can go watch the Okada Omega series over those series of matches, because that's really what got me to solidify myself with New Japan. But yeah, and New Japan has got something for everybody. It's got the serious, good wrestling. It's got your submission guys. It's got your comedy guys. I am so mad we didn't get to see Toriano come over for this. I would have killed for that.
He was in the crowd.
Was he in the crowd?
He was in the crowd, and then once Mox won, I think he left.
Oh man, I
saw something on Twitter on that.
Oh my
God, he was in the crowd.
Man, I would have. Man, I wish you would have had a match though.
Or just roll into the ring and then just look at Mox after.
Oh my God!
And then just leaves.
Considering Yano holds more wins over Moxley in New Japan than anybody, which is hilarious.
Yes. Watch Mox. Yeah, if you get New Japan, it's so funny. It's the way he. Anyway,
give me Yano versus Danhausen right now.
Oh my God!
Can I ask a question? If one person in New Japan you guys watching a lot more than me. If one person was going to actually sell a Danhausen curse, who would you want it to be? Regal did it after a show once. I saw it on YouTube. So if he
Oh,
was going to
yes.
curse and they were going to sell for him, who should it be? Who would do the best sell or for whatever reason?
Oh man,
Who could
I think
sell the
Yano would
Danhausen?
be good, but you know, it'd be
Regal
funny
sell
if
was
Dan-
awesome.
Like,
No, no.
you know, no, it would be funny. And I know we're going off on a tangent, but it'd be funny if Danhausen tried to curse Suzuki, and then Suzuki's like, "What the
Boom.
Oh, no. If there's one person who could absolutely sell the hell out of that curse, it'd be Hiromu Takahashi. Because the way he sold Yano during the New Japan Cup, that's a chef's kiss. Sorry to steal your thing, but
Yeah, speaking of chef's kiss, let's move on to the chef's kiss.
So not many of you guys probably watch Monday Night Raw. I know it's brutal. It's 3 hours of crap, but I sit through it. And one thing that I saw last week, and Brian, you mentioned this, the Kevin Owens and Ezekiel and Elias thing, that whole story program has been awesome. If you guys didn't watch last Monday, they did the thing where Ezekiel got to introduce his brother Elias, and they were backstage together. Again, it was pre-recorded. They put Ezekiel, Elias, they put a fake beard on him because he shaved the beard off. But I thought everything was great. Kevin Owens came out. Everything he's been doing has been awesome. And then they had a backstage segment. It was, again, guys, go catch it. It's probably on their YouTube channel. That's probably the best thing on Monday Night Raw.
It does consistently get the most views out of anything on Raw. Like, I'm sure, to be fair, we're recording this on Tuesday, the day after John Cena returned for his 20th anniversary. So I'm
Correct.
sure anything Cena will get the most views.
Yeah.
But from last week, Bob, I'm sure that had the most views response, at least on social media, from what I saw. So
Yeah.
I agree with you
wouldn't-
on that
I wouldn't be
front.
surprised with that. Yeah.
Yeah. So for me, I'm going to shift to NXT 2.0. I know is a very polarizing, not you want to taste 2.0, but NXT 2.0.
You want to taste?
Thank you, Rich.
You want to taste?
And I'll give you a little taste right now for Chef's Kiss. There you go. But my Chef's Kiss is specifically for a promo. Bob's was more of a segment, but mine is a promo cut by Cameron Grimes, where he went from essentially a very popular comedic babyface to a pretty serious tweener in the matter of one promo. Braun Breaker, Little Rick Steiner. I wish his name was Rex Steiner, but sadly it's not. Cameron Grimes, who recently lost his North American, the middle title. He came out after Braun's match, who Braun is the world champion there, and essentially cut what I thought was the best tweener promo I've seen in a long time, because of the fact that Grimes still said, "Hey, I respect you, but here's why I resent you. I think you're only here because you got that last name of Steiner, not Breaker. Your dad got to see you win the title from the crowd, come in and celebrate with you. My dad saw the one title I won from heaven up there in the stands, in the pearly gates up there. I respect you, but you don't have my heart. You have the physical abilities. Look what I've had to go through. You've been having maybe not a silver platter, a pretty darn nice platter compared to me." And so that tweener promo I just thought was fantastic, because I think it's hard to really be a good tweener. Austin obviously is the best one that we can think of now. Punk does it well too, but to see that a Cameron Grimes, who 3 years ago, I don't think any of us really cared too much about, to my knowledge, and now that he's shifted from the comedic face to a tweener for a world title shot, is pretty amazing in my opinion. Bob, do you want to set us up for what our main Chef's Kiss is for this?
Yeah, no, of course. I don't know if you fellas caught the post scrimmage from
Media
the Forbidden
scrum.
Door, whatever, scrimmage, whatever. Jay White, he probably did the best heel work on that post interview. It was great. Joey, if you want to go ahead and fill it in.
Yeah. So with these post media scrums, obviously Tony Khan, whether it's apparently being on cocaine or other drugs or passionately hugging guys, is going to get a lot of the attention. But this is the epitome of Chef's Kiss right here, because to my knowledge, MJF has not been on one of these post media scrums.
Not to my knowledge.
But so a lot of these guys that go on it, these are essentially out of character. FTR's was out of character. Dex very nicely talking about his own anxiety issues, but Dex, the character, doesn't talk about that. Jay went full character.
Correct.
He was particularly mad about the little tiny stand that was going on that just wasn't working with his New Japan title. And so he was giving Tony a lot of crap for that. And Tony, I feel like he didn't know that Jay was going to be in character for that, because Tony seemed a little shook by that, Bob. I don't know what you think.
No, I noticed that too. And then throughout the night, he's like, when he had other people come on, he's like, "Oh yeah, you guys are a lot better than that IWGP champion over there." No, I caught that. But again, this is great work from him, man. It's just staying the character, staying the route, making us still believe, like, damn, man, this dude is a piece of shit.
And he really does try to be a heel in all facets of it. You know, whether it's rolling out of the ring during his match right away, classic heel work. He doesn't want to be liked, seemingly. And that's something that I feel like a lot of heels don't want to, or rather, they don't want to not be liked, because obviously that means less merch. So chef's kiss for us that week. Our top two. We kind of went faster this time, but yes. Mwah. Hey, Rich, we let you some chicken bones. You got a bone to pick, sir?
I definitely have a bone to pick, and it's with you, Mr. Joliet. You, Juice Robinson. Yeah. I'm pissed. I got a bone to pick with you because Brian made a lovely sign. A lovely sign. A lovely sign just asking for more women's wrestling. Even Kip Sabian was a proponent of supporting that mission of having more women's wrestling on the card. It was an absolute travesty to have only a one women's match on there. So during the Orange Cassidy versus Will Ospreay match, Juice, Mr. Joliet Robinson, wanted to come and watch this match because Juice was supposed to get rid of the belt because due to injury or some illness or something, a combination of that. So Will Ospreay doesn't have the belt, but Juice does. Typical heel stuff. But okay, so I'm gonna go over. They're sitting in like the skybox type of venue behind us. So I go over there. His wife is Toni Storm, and they just had the match afterwards. I take Brian's sign, more women's wrestling. I hold it up. He sees it. You know what this man does? Thumbs down. Thumbs down me. I was heated.
It's so fucking funny, dude.
I got a bone to pick with him. So anytime you in Joliet, I'll come to Romeoville. We can meet at the dividing line. What, Juice?
I did want to add to your point about Kip posting that. We did get 123 retweets and 767 likes out of that. So thank you, Kip Sabian, for blowing us up. I don't know how many followers we got out of it. Probably not many, but they saw us. They knew we were there. Next time we'll
hey, two's better than zero.
Next time we'll throw our fucking at on there. Or
What we're learning. Hey, we're making it work. But that's my bone to pick this week.
I tell you this.
Or is it
I tell you, with Juice Robinson giving a thumbs down to a support more women's wrestling sign, that's awfully bold of you, buddy. Especially since your wife was the only women's match on the card. Not to mention all the hard effort that all the women around the world put into their craft, just like you do. And what do you do instead? When you get beaten for a title, you hold on to it? No, sir. That title belongs to Will Ospreay. That man stood toe-to-toe with Katsuyori Shibata, and that is what a champion is. You, sir, you sit comfortably over there in a skybox, giving a thumbs down to a sign. How dare you, sir?
Yeah, you fought Orange Cassidy, too.
Dare you, sir? I was about to say, Juice Robinson, you have no place on that card, and you snuck your way into the building somehow just to get a little bit of TV time. Way to go, pal. Way to go. I hope you got the most out of your TV time, too, because that title belongs to Will Ospreay and not to you.
Yeah, you think
that's my bone to pick.
You think you Bullet Club? Well, you're pellet sticks. That's what you are. Pellet sticks.
What?
Pellet sticks.
What?
Pellet sticks.
What?
It's funny, Joey just put sounds like a Brian 316 promo. I think for the next podcast we do, we need a promo battle between Brian and Joey. I'm gonna call that.
Oh my
It's gonna be
God.
official now. I'll make the graphics for it. We'll blow this shit up. It's gonna happen.
All right.
I think that's next podcast for sure. Promo
Well,
battle.
let's go to JT and then we'll take it back to George and then we'll wrap it up.
Yeah. Well, real quick, I have 2 bones to pick. One, Juice. Back at Windy City Riot, I was making a purchase for the boys, a couple of brewskis, and he interfered in my purchase. I'm like, what the fuck, dude? Now I have to wait to get my beers. That's my bone to pick with him. So, you're pretty tall. I'm short, but I'm pretty strong. So I know I can definitely do like a German suplex or maybe a brain buster or a vertebreaker. One of those 3 moves.
So anything basically.
Yeah. The other one is Paul Turner. According to Google, he's a senior referee. He should be back at Dark. That's my
Did
bone
you
to
say-
pick.
Did you say senior referee?
Yes. Look it up
Senior
on.
referee.
More like
He's a
senior
senior
citizen.
referee.
Fucking
He's out
dick.
there making rookie mistakes.
Yes.
Rookie mistakes. Shame on you, Paul Turner. Shame.
All right, I got my bone to pick. Actually, I got 2 bones to pick. First one I'll take is with Juice Robinson. And this has nothing to do with the show last night. This has to do with something that happened a couple of years ago, Juice. See, Juice was in town for, unfortunately, the passing of his mother. Juice, I didn't realize this, my man, but you are friends with my sister. And when I was in the hospital, because I was getting my gallbladder removed, she said that you and her had a little chat. I'm not sure if you were with Tony Storm at the time, but my man, we might need to have a little talk. Second bone to pick is with this podcast. Because we forgot one of the big things to talk about for this whole thing. How are we going to forget about Absolute Ricky Starks and Powerhouse Hobbs? Because my man cut a promo on Swerve and Keith Lee. You name dropping Pippen and Jordan in the house that Jordan built.
That was badass. You were right.
Yeah,
That was
granted,
badass.
It was on the buy-in. Granted, it was on the buy-in.
It was on the
Was it?
buy-in, but it was
Oh yeah. it
good.
was.
We love Team Taz, though. We love Team Taz. How can
They
we
should win the
overlook-
titles. Just saying.
Yeah. We have a bone to pick with us. I'll take the L for that because I'm a huge Ricky Starks fan and Powerhouse Hop fan.
Bone to pick with Tony Khan. Put a fucking belt on Tony or on Ricky.
Ricky.
That fucking means something.
All
No,
right.
you show the FTW Championship some respect, sir. That's a
Okay.
that's a title.
It's a
Okay.
title. You know what I
That
mean?
wasn't on the card.
Because it's
Exactly.
shown no respect because Tony doesn't show respect.
Hey Brian.
That's why.
Shut up, bitch.
End the podcast.
All right. No, it's definitely been fun chatting with my fellows over here. Thank you for tuning in to episode 2 of Do the Move podcast.